Hello, and welcome to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where the hosts invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week is sponsored. Excuse me. This week is sponsored by Gin and Tonic because it's classic and no nonsense. And well, if you have watched the show in the past, you know we are no nonsense. We're definitely not classic, though. So my name is Tulia Alori. I'm a Laurel from the West Kingdom, and I am here tonight and just excited about Halloween, which is tomorrow. And my co-host and our guest tonight are both big Halloween nerds, so we decided to go all out for you guys. So I will introduce my lovely co-host, Helga. Helga, take it away.
Hi, I'm Helga. I'm a knight and a pelican and a royal peer from the West Kingdom. I am a Halloween geek. And sadly, 2020 has stolen my perfect Halloween on a full moon on a Saturday. So we're going to geek out tonight and have a little bit of fun. I'm super excited to have our guest here tonight, Sir Eva from Lochac, who is an absolute beast of a fight and an amazing human. And so, Eva, would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Absolutely. Good evening, ghouls. I am Sir Eva Von Danzig from the Kingdom of Lochac. I am a knight, a duchess, and a member of the Order of the Laurel. I'm very excited to be here this evening. For all of you Halloween purists, it's actually currently Halloween in Australia, so I'm very excited to be able to celebrate with all of you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. So I'm going to remind everybody of the drinking game. Drink when a host or guest uses a non-SCA name, when referring to somebody else on the show. Drink when somebody says, before I was a peer, in my kingdom, or when I last reigned. Drink when somebody calls for a soapbox. And drink when somebody uses the term spite sprinkles. Which, by the way, cough, cough, you can go get spite sprinkle stickers on our Redbubble. They're awesome.
I was just thinking maybe we should also add shit in their shoes to the list.
Oh, yeah, or shit in their shoes. Like, we might have to add that one. We should discuss it after the show. I use that term a lot. And also I want to remind all of our amazing, oh my God, my brain just went away. I just want to remind everybody in the audience that you are welcome to send in questions during the show. If we have time, we will try to answer more questions when we get through ours. So with that, shall we go to the first question?
Let's do it. You ready, Eva?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, so this one's from Sammy. For Sir Eva, how did you get your nickname? For the hosts, what are the other nicknames you've acquired over the years? So your nickname, the Beast.
I love this. And I think it's important that if you have a nickname, you're gifted it by somebody else, because nobody likes it when somebody's like, I'm going to name myself the Terminator, and it's going to get around. Everyone should call me the Terminator. Are we doing it? It never takes off. No. But so for me, my entire fighting career has been alongside my very lovely partner, Sir Felix Von Danzig. And our friend made the joke of, well, we're going to see Beauty and the Beast fight each other. Eva's the Beast. And so from there, it just took off. And when we would do medieval fair demos and that sort of thing, I would become the Beast of Inelgard, our local barony. So it just stuck from there.
I like it because apropos of tonight's theme, it is very much on point with what we do in the shadows, the original mockumentary, and the Beast was one of their ex-girlfriends. It just makes me laugh. So.
Hey, werewolves for life. Okay,
you should all watch it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it is quality. In fact, recently we found they made a short, like a 30-minute short back in the early 2000s, and then like 10 years later expanded it into the full-length movie, What We Do in the Shadows, and it's still genius and still funny, but like very low budget and cool. Anyways, let's stick to the top. Okay, tonight is probably going to be a night where we ramble. I can already feel this. So, Helga, what is your answer to this question?
So I amusingly enough didn't gain any nicknames like within the SCA until like my first Penzek, and I have a thing for if a shield wall charges me, I'll just turn my spear sideways. And I used to throw around very large like mammals, a lot of livestock. And so 2 or 3 shield guys is really nothing like throwing around a cow. And so I leveled like shield wall after shield wall after shield wall. And so the guys started chanting, like I'd run out of line and they'd start chanting Valkyrie, Valkyrie. And I'm just like, oh God, that just happened. So that became a nickname. It is not as good as Linux from Penzik, but that became a nickname. And then my favorite one actually currently is a bunch of my guy friends call me a hyena. And they will actually just refer to me as, hey, hyena, what's up? And that's my favorite one because that's a different, all their packs are female oriented, and they are brutal animals. They're also highly intelligent. And so like it started when one of my friends, I did something, like we were at a party and I like shirked at a dude because he got a little handsy with another friend, and he's like, just watch the hyena come out of you. And then that just stuck. Like,
you're not going to mention about the sexual dimorphism or
there's been many of those jokes made about that nickname also. So we're just going to go with, I live up to my nickname very well.
For those who don't know, hyenas, female hyenas are virtually indistinguishable, allegedly, from male hyenas at a distance. I'll leave that to the imagination as to why.
Yep.
Okay, for me, so I never really had nicknames growing up. I think the closest I ever got, which was oddly appropriate for tonight, was in middle school. I was in middle school when the second Addams Family movie came out, and was it the first one? It was one or the other. Anyway, when one of the Addams Family movies came out in the 90s, I was right at like, age 14-ish, and I was very into exploring what is now called goth, but at the time didn't know that. And I got the nickname of Wednesday Addams. It wasn't meant to be a complimentary thing, but I thought that was the fucking coolest thing ever, because Wednesday Addams is cool, right? I mean, like, we're all agreed. Wednesday Addams, pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
So I was like, well, thank you very much. And they were all the children were confused, because I'm supposed to find that very, and of course I got the questions like, why are you dressed like a funeral? Literally, wait. Yeah, it was unoriginal. And but later on, never really had any other nicknames. I don't have a name that lends itself to nicknames. I mean, the closest I think that comes to that is Helga started calling me Sassy after she decided I was called Sassy Seamstress. And so that's kind of stuck. And now people call me Sassy that follow the show. But no other real nicknames. So
I'm going to start calling you Wednesday now. Like that's where this is going to like.
I feel like I've developed out of a Wednesday, and I'm more in like the Elvira, Mistress of the Dark era of my life. Elvira, by the way, was my sister's nickname, and for reasons completely unrelated to Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, my grandfather just decided to call her Elvira. Her name is not anything close to Elvira, but she was Elvira to my grandpa. So,
can I segue for a moment? Because your schoolyard story reminded me, I did have a very funny and poignant one that might make you feel better. Is that so I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when we moved out to the country, my parents put me in a public school, but it was still pretty far out in a pretty remote community. And my parents, no shit, are 80s goths. So, and they never tried to hide it. They had a van. They drove me to school every morning in their van that was covered in like metal and goth bumper stickers. And they had this one that I remember quite clearly because I thought it was, I still think it's hilarious. But it said, eat people, not animals.
Yes.
Right. And now that I think about it, there's probably some sexual undertones there, but that's not important. What is important is that, in your elementary school, not everybody gets the joke. And I remember one day as like a 6-year-old having a much older girl come up to me who was a senior and go, can I ask you a question?
Oh, that's always the best.
People? I was like, no. Well, why do you have that sticker? It's funny. And she was like, oh, cool. Can you send my yearbook?
Oh my God. Yeah, kids could be assholes. That's why I never wanted any. Although I just got a text message from my boyfriend and he was like, I call you Sarah Bear. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like the only other nickname ever that I've had, Sarah Bear. And I doubt it'll ever catch on, although watch all you assholes start calling me that.
Really, really cute, actually. Like, I want to make you like a Care Bear tunic now. But it's going to be like a stabby needle.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say, do I just like project like rage at people? Internal screaming intensifies? I don't know.
Can't confirm.
I'm very angry.
We're already started.
All right.
Sorry, Hans was just asking me, when are you guys starting?
We're started.
Okay.
All right, next question.
Our next question comes from Sophia. Do you have any SCA ghost stories or creepy happenings that you cannot be explained?
Ghost stories.
Nope. So, I mean, the funny thing is, so for me, I'm not a believer so much in the paranormal. So much as I think that it's actually our own human experience and our own psyche that plays tricks on us, and it's more about your perception altering your reality. Mm-hmm. But I can't say that anything particularly terrifying has ever happened to me at an SCA event, ever.
What about creepy? I mean, other than like, guys creeping on you, that's not fun.
I mean, the creepiest thing is when you have people trying to convince others that it's okay to swim naked in the swimming hole in the middle of the day, which is not okay.
No.
That is an after dark activity.
Yeah. Amongst consenting adults.
It's one of those things like I'm pretty body shy and I'm shy of everybody else's as well. We should all have clothes on all the time when in my presence.
Good to know. I won't just like randomly start stripping, around you.
That's really good for me to know because as like a fighter, I'm just like I'm getting out of myself. I'm just like fuck this, fuck this, fuck this, like whatever.
So many times I'll just be sitting there and suddenly Helga's buck naked and just like talking away. And I'm like, thank God I grew up in theater because this is completely normal.
Yeah.
I don't have any ghost stories or creepy happenings in the SCA that I can think of. I have like one or two things that I, in my life that are unexplained, like, not really ghost stories, but like back to middle school, we flipped back to middle school, seminal time in my life, apparently. I had a friend who died, and the night that he died, I had a dream about him dying and didn't find out about it for like a day. And then suddenly, like, because we didn't have the internet at the time, it wasn't like rapid fire communication. The information worked its way down my direction that he had been killed. And suddenly I was just like, whoa, what the actual fuck? Like I totally dreamt that he had died. Like not in the way that he died or anything like that, just that he had died. And then like come to find out a day later that had actually happened. And there's times where I go back and I wonder, like, did you sort of subconsciously maybe, but there was no way for me to know. So it had literally happened like in two completely separate instances. So like that kind of unexplained thing, yeah, absolutely have had that happen once in my life. And that was that. What about you, Helga?
I'm going to go down right on the other end. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum of weird shit happens all the fucking time to me. So I grew up in what is arguably considered one of the most haunted houses in California. It is a house that was originally a Pony Express stop. There have been multiple people murdered in the house. There were bodies buried out in the field for a little while. And some of my first memories are literally as a child, and this is not SCA because I really don't have many like SCA ones besides the occasional like, oh, that dude's gonna die, and then it happens, which is really fucking creepy, by the way, when that happens.
Actually, Helga, let me interject for a second because I'd forgotten to mention the other part about my friend, which was about 3 or 4 months before he died, and I met him for the first time. The first words out of my mouth was, he's not going to live very much longer. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why it just came out. So all that aside, it's never happened again.
It's really weird when it happens all the time. But I grew up in like it's actually one of the most arguably haunted houses. And so when my mom moved into the house, like shit would move around the house. Like my mom was very not into paranormal stuff until she lived in that house, and she's like, no, those fuckers are real. Like they'll do shit to you. Like flat out, like things would just move in the house. It was weird as fuck. But some of my first memories as a kid is I would wake up and there was this older gentleman sitting on the edge of my bed every night, and he would just turn to me. He said, don't worry, you can go back to sleep. I'll protect you. And finally, like this had gone on for God knows how long as I was a child. And I asked my mom, and my mom was like, I need you to describe this guy in detail that is sitting on your bed in the middle of the night. Like mom, like radar went off of some weird dude is sitting in my house on my child's bed. And I described the dude that had been murdered 20 years previously, like upstairs, like right above my room, like to a T. And so I see shit all the time, but also I realize that I have been raised like that. The weird one for me at events is people are like pendulums, and most people deal with like feeling how people are doing, but they feel it on like the positive side. So they feel it as like life and everything else like that. I feel the opposite end of the spectrum. So as somebody's like nearing the end of their life, it gets like it physically hurts to touch them. And so like one of my friends currently is dying, and touching her is actually like almost like grabbing a 9-volt battery all the time. And so that happens to me at events all the time. Like randomly, like I'll shake somebody's hand and I'll be like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell you because that freaks people out, but I can call it within about 2 years. Like I start feeling it at about the 2-year mark of like somebody just not recovering. And so that shit happens to me all the time. It's just kind of normal. And now I sound like a total crazy person because I am. So.
No, I mean, we all have experiences that are kind of unexplained.
Right.
Outside of an SEA context, I every so often will have a dream, and then it's kind of weird, but then I might a few years later have deja vu and recognize the deja vu from the dream, not necessarily just going, oh, it feels weird. It's like, oh, I remember dreaming this when I was 5. Didn't know these people, didn't know this context. So whether or not that's something on a subconscious level, I do think that, there is more to being an empath, and certainly like the collective consciousness.
I was just going to say, I was just going to drop that same thing. Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I listen to a lot of like paranormal podcasts and true crime and all this stuff. So I'm really into it and I'm interested. But I do think that there's certain things that I go, there's probably science we don't understand that it'll fit into, but I'm not like dead sold into, this is like into the rules of it. I think we're yet to discover what all this is about, but certainly being an empathetic human does give you certainly more of a connection with others, I think.
That's kind of how I feel it is. It's like, it's just science that we don't understand yet.
Well, and I also do think that there's room for stuff that we don't know or understand currently, with like our certain level of understanding about how the brain works, how it all kind of fits together, experiences and intuition. I remember when I was a kid, like it was common knowledge that humans didn't have intuition. Now we know a little bit more about this, and we think that there are some things that humans kind of inherently do that don't need to be taught. And I wanted to say too, the collective consciousness thing is huge. And I was raised by a Jungian. My mother is a huge Jungian, way into Jungian philosophy, and that's a big thing with Jung, is the idea that we're all interconnected, that human consciousness is linked somehow. So, yeah. Sorry while I pour myself another cocktail because this is heavy.
Well, shall we go to the next question?
Yeah, let's go to the next question.
That one's all you, Sassy.
Okay, let me get back to the correct thing. All right, so this is from Petrona. It is important to set a good example. How do those of us in positions of influence, crowns, peers, coronets, use that social influence to acceptably correct poor behavior like subtle bigotry, misogyny, etc., without crossing into bullying or gatekeeping? It's a really good question.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to go first, right?
Unless you want to just, punt for a sec.
Yeah. This is like a two-pronged answer for me, because you're absolutely right. Providing a good example is the first part. So when you not even just come to an event, I think when you take your oaths, you should take them seriously, because at the end of the day, the fealty oath is just an oath to be a good person, right? So in every interaction you have, the golden rule should always be applied. Treat that person how you would want to be treated. And that even comes to the people that you don't get along with, because I do think that the only way to build bridges towards peace is to have discussions, find some sort of common ground. Unfortunately, just going in there and yelling and ranting and raving, especially on social media, doesn't actually change anybody's opinion. Mm-hmm. So that's the first point, is to, be kind, uphold your oath, be a good person, and then hopefully you'll influence other people to do the same. And you'll create that positivity and that influence that will last on beyond your years. And then the second part is, it's important to take the oath seriously when you say that you will protect those around you. And part of that will be to have difficult conversations. And I really want to stress that this isn't just about the peers needing to have difficult conversations. Every single member of the society and every single human being has the power to make positive change. You take it into your hands. If you see something wrong, if it's something that you can handle in an interpersonal way, go and speak to that person, bring it up. Sometimes people do and say things that they don't realize maybe is wrong, and they at least should have that brought to their attention. Sometimes they'll go, oh shit, sorry, I didn't realize. Sometimes they won't. Some people will change for the better and some won't. And you accept that, but at least you tried and you did your duty, and that's every single person. But if you do see something, especially at an event that is against the law, call mundane authorities. Actually report things that are criminal. Don't leave it up to a peer, and don't judge people who weren't there at the time when you needed to take it into your own hands. Because unfortunately, I do think that we end up with a lot of hearsay in the background, and then people go, well, why didn't anybody do anything? Well, a lot of people that probably would be more than willing weren't there at the time. But the people that are there, it's their responsibility to make sure that those things are dealt with accordingly. Every single person has that duty and responsibility to make sure that their friends and the people around them are safe. Peers especially, but be a good member, have the difficult conversations, and if you see something, say something.
I like that. See something, say something. I like it. I mean, it's old school, but that and stranger danger. Yeah. But yeah, see something, say something. It is true. And it is, don't wait for the peers to notice. Also, if you're not a peer, but you see suspect behavior or anything that sends up a red flag, speak up. Go to the seneschal, go to the crown, go to the mundane authorities. Number one, if it's absolutely illegal, skip all the steps, we'll just go straight to the mundane authority. I'm sorry, absolutely. I'm talking over Helga.
It's all good. Do you want to answer first? Like, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Answer, I mean, honestly, my answer is really what Eva said. And so unless I have something like, drastically different to say in the next 5 minutes, it'll be what she said.
So I'm going to just echo what Eva said. I'm going to say, quote, insert that for what I'm going to say. And then I'm going to go to, I agree with everything you had to say. I'm going to add on, and actually I'm going to address without crossing the line into bullying or gatekeeping.
Yeah.
There is one of my favorite quotes from The Watchmen is, "Who bullies the bully?" Mm-hmm. And I believe that there is a point in time where the peers must step forward, and it's the hero or villain complex that we deal with all the time. They are the same creature. It's just it's two different perspectives. And we must remember as peers that when we are calling out those behaviors that were listed, occasionally we are going to skirt the line of gatekeeping and bullying, and that's actually okay. That is actually our job, is to stop the behavior. And so that is one of the things, is when all other resources are exhausted for have a polite adult conversation, reinforce with good behaviors and role models, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When you don't cross the line into mundane authorities going into this, there's that whole gray area section. It turns into a little bit of a bullying. It's just in the right frame. And we must remember that, because it's kind of it's the really harsh way of looking at it, is if the mundane authorities can't deal with it and all adult resources have been exhausted, it's time to fucking deal with a problem. It is time to actually gatekeep our society a little bit and remove a problematic individual. And if we ourselves aren't willing to do that as people that are in the positions of power, we are failing those that we have sworn to protect. And so occasionally we actually have to bully and we actually have to gatekeep. We just must do it under the umbrella of what is going to continue to have the SCA survive and thrive and be an open and welcoming environment. And so this is where the whole guard dog mentality comes in. And so where I totally agree with Eva, I think that the next stage in that is actually cross over into bullying a little bit and make it very, very much so known. Unfucking acceptable behavior, dude. Or chick. Or whoever. Don't give a fuck. Don't do that shit.
Don't be a shitty human.
Don't be a shitty human.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually just say what they both said. Echo both of those and go into a slight diversion. I had a conversation today with a good friend who is sort of struggling with the idea of participating in the SCA that allows for people with bigoted views to participate right alongside of them. And I get that a lot of us have that kind of same, you gotta, do I cede it to the bullies? Or to the shitty people? Do I let them have the game, or do I stand my ground and say, no, your behavior is actually shitty? And I think that is a hard thing to do. And at a certain point, honestly, it's something that everybody's going to kind of figure out where their investment, if they invest, what's the word? It's not their investment. It's mostly like, if you don't have the spoons to use spoon theory, which is actually a whole thing that I actually hate for a lot of reasons, but as somebody with chronic pain, but if you don't have enough spoons, then you are allowed to walk away and you are allowed to just say, let them have it. And that's okay too. I don't know. There's a lot of conversations, little conversations and side deviations around this that always make me think.
Actually, I have a side point to this. Okay. Is understand the tools you're bringing to the situation. So that's part of the thing, is like understanding that some people are going to be very capable of having that adult conversation with the person. You don't send somebody that's a little fist fighty. Like use that person and their tool set at the right times. So occasionally you have to project manage this as leaders, because like peers are seen as leadership roles. And so you have to understand who is the correct person to send into the situation to address the situation. That's also another aspect that we rarely talk about, is understand that like Eva can walk into a situation and be very mature and level-headed and like present like, hey, your behavior is not okay. When they send me into the situation, it's going to be like, listen here, motherfucker. Like, we are now done. Eva has adulted the fuck out of this. I'm now going to punk rock the fuck out of this.
Like, this is just me.
Yeah. So, and then, when you want to burned on the internet, then you bring Sassy in.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And so that's one of the things.
On the internet for 30 years, watch. Anyway.
So with that, are we good to go? Does anybody have any lasting thoughts on that?
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
And that is that I really am a big believer of, the difficulty of trying to police everybody in their own personal opinions. It's a dark road when you start to go down, because where do you stop as well? And I agree, we don't want bigots, we don't want racists, or at least we want them on their very best behavior at all times and for them to be silent. Mm-hmm. Because that's, it's hard. It's hard when you think that your whole job is to go around and just, basically yell at people until they leave. But have the conversations, and I would really encourage everybody to do it in as level-headed a way as possible. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to lower yourself down to a level where you are the one that looks like you're the hater. And if you can state your argument, go, look, this isn't cool, and you need to be more compassionate, or, you know, you need to have a look at your views because you're hurting people. You will probably find that you have a better conversation than if you do go in going, well, fuck you and fuck off, right? And it'll be hard, but there's a couple of things when we look at it through the lens of chivalry, of temperance is a virtue. Sometimes you're going to have to temper your anger to be able to have a more productive conversation, that you can come out and go, well, I didn't raise my voice and they were still an asshole, so maybe I need to actually follow grievance procedure at this point. But the other part of that is that despite the fact kindness is a nice thing, it's actually not a chivalric virtue, because at a certain point, you are going to have to be unkind to somebody from their perspective in order to make some sort of positive change. And that might be that their feelings get hurt because you said, hey, what you said was a little bit racist. But at least if you do it in that calm manner, you're more likely to get some sort of a positive commentary from that point.
Yep.
If that doesn't work, you can also warn your friends, hey, maybe avoid that person. They're an asshole.
Yep. Yeah, ostracism. It's a thing. It is one of the oldest techniques human beings have in their
people do expose themselves for assholes, and then people are less likely to want to play with them.
Weird, right?
Yep.
All right, so we do the next question. Any other thoughts?
Well, I think
we should have more fun, so I'll just say spite sprinkles so people can drink at home.
Well, I'm pretty sure I heard some splashing while this conversation was going on.
Splash.
Splash, splash, splash. The lady of the lake had to go through like my whole entire background over here, so like I want to give her mad props for bringing a lake and the sticky notes.
A lot of stuff back here.
She just punned at us. You want a taco about it? Oh God!
Oh my God!
Can we not die on that? That'd be great.
Like random like that.
I'm just gonna move that right now. All right.
I've got these huge sleeves on, and I've got sleeves, and I nearly set my house on fire before we started. So
those are fabulous sleeves, though. Look at those.
It would be worth it unless I burnt the house down. Then everyone would be sad.
Yeah. Well, then where would the bunnies be? Okay. So from the Lady of the Lake, was your favorite mythological or imaginary animal?
Oh.
Ooh. That is a good.
That is really good.
Can I postpone my answer? I need to think about this because I like so many.
Yeah, sure. I think mine, well, if you're talking to 8-year-old Sarah and not 42-year-old Tulia, 8-year-old Sarah was all about the Pegasuses. Yeah, that would probably be mine. Even though you couldn't pay me enough to get on a horse today. Shira had a Pegasus. It was rad. Actually,
I was about to say, you're going to have to get on a horse. I just bought one.
Okay, I'll get on your horse, Helga. But now adult me is kind of into Medusa. I mean, she's not really a beast. She kind of is, though. Kind of not, but kind of is. But also like mad respect. Like, you know, she's a complicated character in Greek mythology. So yeah, I'd go with Medusa.
So I like how you have like all my fucking answers, by the way.
Oh,
like
sorry.
I'm a little put out right now. And so I'm gonna go with childhood me, the Pegasus, because of the myth of taming the Pegasus. As a horse girl, it was something that myth and that like mythos around the Pegasus was always something that I tried to bring to the table when working a horse, is that you cannot tame the Pegasus through force. It must be a choice. And so it's about building a bond and a relationship. And really that mythos comes from actually like working horses. The more you understand them, the more you understand that you can force a horse to do just about anything, but when there's a partnership, they will legitimately die for you. And so that's something that like the little small child in me. Also griffins, because griffins are just badass. They're like murder burbs with murder mittens, and that goes a long way with like childhood me.
Yeah.
For like mythological or imaginary animals, I'm gonna have to echo Sassy. And the reason why Medusa for me on that one is the story of Medusa is just about violation and her continuing to survive and adapt and then being cursed and then doing the same thing. Again, like Greek and Roman mythology, like super on point with just like fucked up stories. But the actual idea behind Medusa, especially the one that's been produced recently, is that she's a survivor.
Yeah.
And she is Medusa because she is a survivor. And then people are continually trying to tame her back down into this acceptable creature. And she's just like, go fuck yourself. And so I am delighted by that mythos.
All right.
So if anyone's knowledgeable in cryptids, jackalopes.
Oh yeah.
Little bunnies with big antlers.
You have bunnies, don't you?
I do.
So I was gonna say,
would not be alive.
Would you be interested in doing? So normally we do 10 likes on a video for either a treat for our famed doggo or the noodle. Would you be interested in doing likes on this video for bunny treats?
Oh my gosh, she's gonna get so fat, I imagine.
Well, it takes 10 likes for a bunny treat, but if you're down for that, I would love to get pictures of you feeding the bunny treats for likes. That way we can share it with the fans.
Deal, I can do that. I was about to say if I have to do it now, it's not happening because the thing about bunnies is they're prey animals. They don't like to be picked up because that usually means that they're going to get eaten. So she's pretty resistant.
She's super cute and also I've heard very destructive.
She can be. I mean, she's not too bad. She lives inside. She's eaten a burrow into our couch, but that's really the worst of it.
You posted photos one time of like all the stuffing, wasn't it? Like she'd gotten the stuffing out of the couch and just like nested in there somehow. Yeah. Bunnies are so cute. I don't think I could actually own one. I love other people's bunnies, like other people's children. I love other people's children. I love other people's bunnies. And ferrets and dogs. Yeah.
Like I'm just an animal person, so.
Yeah, you like critters.
Yeah. All right, so we're ready for the next question?
Yeah, let's do the next question.
The next question comes from Christina. In your experience, what single item or practice gives the most bang for your buck in enhancing pageantry at an event?
Ooh, that's a good question. The single item. I mean, I could say banners because I really like banners. They do give a visual impact, but I'm gonna go a little bit abstract and say the number one best thing at an event for upping pageantry is actually theater. If you have someone, especially when you're on the throne, it makes such a difference when you come to a court or an event and you're actually living that moment. You do see, like, everyone has their different style, but certainly I think that the people who have the most amazing reigns and the most amazing courts are the ones that speak from the heart, not necessarily the ones who are reading out of the books and I've done both. I've certainly, like, peerage ceremonies are the scariest shit ever to have to conduct because, you know, asking them is amazing. It's this moment, this whole culmination of you know, a life's work, and they're about to be recognized, and that's exciting. But as soon as you have to actually do the ceremony that they've been dreaming about for a while, it's terrifying. And so it's hard to make it feel really good on your end. But yeah, when you speak from the heart, create that theater, that's what really enhances an event for me.
Oh, so by the way, Eva, your Laurel is in pageantry, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was appropriate.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I'm curious, what did that mean when, you know, in terms of like, you know, like I'm a Laurel in costuming. It's kind of straightforward. I make clothes, but like, what's a Laurel in pageantry? Like, what makes that a thing? I'm sorry to kind of deviate, but I wanted to.
No, the most fun thing about it is you do have people that come up to you and go, what were you even laureled for anyway? And they mean it in like that way, but it is funny to be like, I don't even know, man. But no. So for me, it was pageantry and heraldic display. So the bulk of my work was in banner production, and I painted a lot of shields with period artwork, specifically the high Northern Renaissance style. So sort of 15th century Bruges. And a little bit of what I did as well was to basically create a scene and an ambiance. So pageantry laurels tend to be a little different depending on who you have. Some people do focus more on sort of creating pageant and theater from the time and recreating an event almost. And that's what they do, is that sort of pomp and ceremony. Whereas what I was laureled for is probably more of the production of items associated with that. Oh, I did surcoats as well. So almost a little bit of a cheat because I was fighting all the time anyway. So surcoat, shields, banner, all really useful items. But I ended up making a huge amount of them and really delving into the research. And that's how you become a pageantry laurel, I suppose.
That's interesting. It's we don't, at least that I'm aware of, have anyone in the West Kingdom currently that does that type or specialized kind of that type. We've a couple of people that came very close, and then life interceded, and you know they've had to put the SCA on hold. But as far as I know, we have a lot of like cooking laurels and thing laurels, and you know, like thing being a very big broad catch-all term for, we don't know what to give you this thing for, but you do a lot of cool stuff. So there you go, you're a stuff laurel, you're a thing laurel, like you're just, we know you're a laurel. Yeah. You know? Kind of a badge of honor in the West, actually, to be like a stuffed laurel. And I think that that's almost kind of the equivalent, except for most of the stuffed laurels I know are very academic, and it's mostly research based instead of like producing, you know, items like what's the word? I was gonna say like ephemera. That kind of goes under it. You know, a lot of this stuff just isn't extant anymore. Yeah. So we only have like written descriptions. We don't really know what it's about. So in real life,
I mean, from the 14th through 16th centuries, there are some pieces that are remaining, but because the nature of them, even for us, is ephemeral, you end up making choices in production to make your stuff last longer or for ease of reproducibility. So, for example, in the 15th century, there are a lot of really beautiful silk banners that have oil painting on them, and they would paint intricate patron saints and figures, and they would gold leaf them, and they're gorgeous, but there's not a lot of them left. They actually found one in Ghent that was like pushed behind a piece of furniture and it just tumbled out one day, and it's probably one of the better examples. But I'm not going to, you know, put oil painting into practice for something that I'm just going to camp with. So, you know, there's a lot of ins and outs, but certainly there is the material there if you go looking for it.
Well, okay, so to segue into my answer, I would say creating an atmosphere. So I guess that's a lot kind of what Eva just said about doing like the theater aspect. It's the creating an atmosphere, which takes into a whole category of very individualized or very singular type of arts and performance and you know, activities that all have to come together to really create a sense of cohesive pageantry. So it's no real bang for your buck kind of thing, but I guess if you're looking for like a single thing that you can possibly do, investing in a great silk banner is very, very easy. Actually, let me back that up. It's not easy. Unless you learn how to paint your own banners. Silk banners are easy to produce, easier to produce, I think, than doing the appliqued or embroidered type of banners that are more substantial. They can be a much easier, I keep using the word easy and it's not the right word. God, okay, I'm totally flubbing on this, but the point is that it is sort of a bang for your buck. If you can get your hands on one, if you can bribe or pay a friend or make something in trade for a friend who does silk painting, getting a banner is kind of your, like, it automatically like upgrades your space. I mean, for ages, I've had my banner in the back here, and that's a silk banner that I did in trade for a costume with a friend of mine. So she paints silk banners. I don't. And I also, again, want to reiterate, easy is not the word I'm looking for, because it is a skill. I have painted on silk. That shit is hard. But I find it hard, but she is quite excels at it. So I said, I'll make you a costume if you make me a banner. And so we arranged that, deal. She made me this gorgeous banner, and I can plunk that thing down or pin it somewhere or wear it like a cape if I wanted to. And it looks great. It looks great. It's easy, and they look cool flapping in the wind. And yeah, I think a banner is kind of like the entry point. But there are so many other things that you can incorporate into it after that take a little bit more effort. Helga? Oh, wait a minute. Thorfinn just texted me. He said, an achievable goal. Achievable is the word I was looking for. Not easy, achievable. So, sorry, Helga.
I'm actually going to go with a really simple thing on pageantry, and it's going to be for personal pageantry, not overall pageantry, because we've already covered that, is a belt. The belt is like basically like the first break in the game that you go through, is when you actually have a belt that fits your persona. It tends to complete an outfit. It tends to complete a look. It gives you a waistline. It gives you a way to like move around. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to say is actually one of the simplest bang for your buck pieces of pageantry that you can do for yourself is having a proper belt for your persona. Short answer, sorry.
Oh no. That's awesome. So do you want to do the next one?
That'd be you.
Okay. So this is from Agnes. I know I butchered your name again, God damn it, but I'm going with the French pronunciation. What is your definition of courtesy, and who do you think exemplifies the concept best?
Sorry, what was the second half? Who do you
think exemplifies the concept of courtesy best?
Oh, like an individual, or?
Yeah. Or it could be, I could say you could expand it historically. If you wanted to pick a historical figure, you could talk about a mundane figure. You could talk about somebody you know in the SCA.
Okay. So for me, courtesy, again, I sound like a broken record, but it comes back to being empathetic and treating others in a way that you believe you would like to be treated, that is positive. I mean, if you hate yourself and you go, I want to be treated like dirt. Nobody does that. But essentially, it's about being kind enough to pay respect to others, treat them in a way you would want to be treated in the situation were it reversed, and being empathetic to your fellow humans. So I mean, the base example that you usually see is like helping people who need help carry things. And, it's a good example because I look at that and I go, would I want help carrying that thing if I was in that person's position? Yes, I would. You go and you help them, and that's courtesy. I would give an example of, so in Lochac, one of our first peers was Mistress Rowan Peregrine, and I would say that she exemplifies courtesy to a T. And essentially because she helped to birth the Kingdom of Lochac when we were still a principality back in the day. And even to this day, she is working amazingly hard to keep a lot of our guilds running and to keep pageantry and a lot of our traditions going. But one of the things that always amazes me is that she's a Laurel, and she is one of the few people that will walk around an ANS display, and she has something useful to say to every single person there, no matter, I mean, this is more amazing than courtesy, but you know, she has a working knowledge of everything, and she takes the time to go and to speak to each person about their project and to give them feedback and to give them maybe a new research topic that maybe they hadn't thought about. And just the time that she's willing to give to those people who've put so much work into each of their projects is just amazing to me. That level of courtesy of knowing that they're there for that feedback and for that attention, and she's willing to give it every single event I see her at, is amazing. That's me.
Helga.
So the definition of courtesy is like polite in speech or action. And I think courtesy within our society takes another level. I think that we deal with courtesy as almost like a pure like bearing. Amusingly enough, it's like it's the base to franchise for us, or at least it is for me. Is can you in a hard situation hold your bearing and remain a polite person that can also communicate at the same time? And so courtesy for me is also, you know, is being polite when it's easy, but real courtesy is when is it hard? When you are tired, do you remain respectful? When you are sore and hurt and emotionally distraught, can you continue to hold that bearing? That is courtesy to me. And so that's my definition of courtesy, is that polite, almost peer-like bearing while under pressure. Because if it is easy, then it actually isn't the definition of anything. Like if it's easy for us to do, well, then you can fake it till you make it. It's when it's hard that you know when it's going to happen. And one of the people that I would exemplify courtesy the best, and this is like, I feel like this is the West Kingdom boxed answer, just for everybody to know.
Are you, let me guess. Are you going to say Robert of Woodsend?
Yep. And so here's actually why. So Robert of Woodsend is actually really kind of like the ideal knight in my universe. He is both courteous and a savage. And most people don't talk about Robert that way. Most people talk about his courtesy or his bearing or his nobility. And I'll actually say that I have seen Robert in some very like tense situations. And he reinforced how courteous he was because he continued to have that noble bearing. He continued to try to facilitate conversations. He continued to try to mediate the situation when he very easily could have thrown down his titles. He could have thrown down the fact that he is a strong dude and everything else like that. And so he exemplifies courtesy to me, not for the fact of he's got the franchise and the bearing and everything else like that that goes along with being a peer. It's because I've seen him survive some hard shit. Where I've also seen him be an epic level savage on the war field. He is, when Robert wants to throw down, Robert can throw down. And I have seen it. I have also seen it when I've like, Robert losing his temper is also like a scary concept. And so that's the reason why he highlights it for me, because so very few people have seen that in many situations.
You know, I was going through my mental list of people where I'm always, you know, I see that person and I go, that person's a class act. And I was trying to kind of quantify why, you know, what that means to me, because in my mind, class act equals kind of the exemplar of courtesy. And I think my definition is very much in line with Eva's definition. Courtesy is how you treat other people. It's how you approach others in an unknown situation where they don't know you. And you could be anybody, they could be anybody. And yet they are not only, they don't have to be obsequious about it. They don't have to be over the top about like being nice. They just are, they're gracious. They are, you know, polite and interested and interesting to get to be around. And I think the person that kind of came up when I thought about all of those things was Mistress Diane de Winchester. And, you know, she's probably not one of the well-known personalities in the West Kingdom, unless you're a Westie. You probably have run into her and you probably have met her, and she usually wears a big hoop blonde. She's very, very 15th century with the big, kind of rolled headdress with the veils and everything and all of the dagging and all this stuff. And she's just the nicest person. And one of the coolest things about her is that she can walk into a situation and you may be just, doing whatever you're doing and not trying to impress anybody. She walks in, she's automatically kind of impressive to look at, but also very, very, like, puts you at your ease immediately. And she'll sit down and she can talk to you about the thing that you're doing, or she can tell you about the thing that she's doing. And you guys can end up with this glorious conversation that can go hours long, and you've lost yourself in it. And you've realized you've never talked to this person before in your entire life. And suddenly you feel like you're, best friends. And that, to me, I think she really exemplifies to me like that je ne sais quoi about courtesy, where it's all these factors of like just being a nice person, a classy person, a kind person, an interested person, an interesting person, and never makes you feel like you are less than. She, just so for those who don't know, she is an incredibly talented woman. Everything she touches, she turns to art. She has every right to just kind of sail in and be like, I am the best. And she is. She's really great. But she's not like that at all. And she's very humble about it. And she's very like interested in things that, interested in people doing things at a lesser ability than what she does. And you'll never feel when you talk to her like you're doing a lesser, a thing around her. I don't know if that makes sense, but she's I would say she's kind of my exemplary example of courtesy, and she's awesome. She also, her and her husband work as a team. They are responsible for the secondary set of, I guess they're kind of the more regularly used crowns of the West Kingdom. They were made a couple of years ago, very closely resemble the AS9 silver crowns, but these ones that they made together, they're bronze. So they work in metal, they do cloisonne, or she does cloisonne, she does enameling, and he does metal work, and then they work very closely together. And yeah, the stuff that they put out is amazing. So that's it, Diane.
Nice. All right, we ready for the next one?
Yeah, I guess that's me. Oh no, that was me. Do you want to break? Do you want to do a break? It's 8 o'clock now. We're at the 5th question.
I'm good either way.
Okay. Why don't we do it after the next one? Because this one's fun.
Okay.
So this one comes from Ro. Suddenly, you've become an iconic movie monster. Which one would you be and why?
I know.
Iconic monster. I don't know why, but I'm just going to say Creature from the Black Lagoon, because that one's clearly the coolest. And I figure if you're going to be a monster, you want to be something that is unequivocally scary, but also can't be made sexy. Like, I'm a big fan of like, vampires should be scary, right? So I would want to be the Creature from the Black Lagoon, because my design would just be, undeniably scary forever. I could live in my little lagoon and everything would be exciting, or not exciting until, somebody came into your territory.
So I would actually go with Vampira. I gotta go with her. I mean, she may not be a monster, but she was always included in those classic monster movies. And I'm kind of the opposite. I don't want to be a creepy, ugly monster. I want to be a gorgeous, hourglass-shaped woman who will suck your blood. Like the ideal. I want to suck your blood, right? Yeah. Helga?
So I'm gonna go with an iconic movie monsters. One, werewolf, duh. Like, that's so easy. And I'm trying to pull the name of the movie series right now, and I am just blanking on it. Super hot chick that was a vampire.
You're talking about Twilight, are you?
Underworld?
Oh God, no! Jesus, hard no! Fuck you, hard no.
Let's see. American Werewolf in Paris.
Close, but it's not. It's
Teen Wolf?
What was that?
Teen Wolf?
No, Jesus.
Underworld?
Yes, Underworld. Thank you. There it is.
Bigger.
You can see where my brain lives.
Yeah. So if I'm gonna be an iconic like style of werewolf, I want to be able to change fucking at will and be able to heal like them. Because good goddamn.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
100% gonna take that like that style of werewolf. That's what I want to be.
My favorite, actually, which weirdly enough, kind of segues into this, is Being Human. If you guys have never watched the actual British version of Being Human, not the American crappy version, but the original British version is fantastic. It's based on the idea that a ghost, a vampire, and a werewolf all share a flat in,
oh my God, it's delightful.
in Brighton. It is beyond delightful. It is wonderful. It's also incredibly fucked up and dark, which is also awesome. But it's also very, very like British humor, like incredibly dry. A lot of like drama and pathos and hot sex. You should definitely watch it, Ryan. I'm sorry. God damn it, I jumped.
No, I have 100% approved. So with that, shall we roll the commercials and then we'll be right back?
Yes, please.
Over 290 times, heroes have met upon the Crapeau field, under the watchful eye of Constable Sir Bertrand de Gecklin. An unbroken line, come rain, shine, or pestilence. To determine the rightful tricentennial Crapeau, the Fellowship of the Argent Angel shall host a tournament in March of the year 2021. 3 days of fighting and feasting, of shared words and experiences, of courage and chivalry, shall end with one most worthy. The 300th Crapeau. Do you have what it takes? For more information, go to bit.ly/300 Crapeau to find the Facebook event page.
The Cedar Wardrobe specializes in custom-made garments tailored to your measurements. Patterns are pulled from period sources whenever possible for a more authentic look, and full hand sewing is available upon request. If the item you're looking for isn't on the website, just send an email and we can work on a custom order together. Everyone deserves to have clothing that fits well and flatters their body, no matter what shape they are, be it corsets, medieval or Renaissance garb, reenactment of any era, cosplay, or ritual wear. The Cedar Wardrobe is here to help you fill your custom-made needs. Find them at thecedarwardrobe.com or facebook.com/thecedarwardrobe.
Between Two Peers proudly presents Merkheim Horde. Merkheim Horde offers high-quality, handmade Viking-age jewelry. All items are made individually and not mass-produced. Woven chains are woven in choices of sterling silver, fine silver, and 14-karat gold filled wire. And they can be custom made to your desired length. Arm rings are made in bronze and can be made to your desired size. Merkheim Horde strives to deliver the highest customer service available. We offer repairs for any items that suffer damage, and if repair is not an option, a replacement will be made. Be sure to visit their website. That website is merkheimhorde.com or facebook.com/merkheimhorde.
And we're back. Thank you all very much. Also, go check out the merchants. The links are in the description of the video. So please go like and share and support those merchants because in these weird COVID times, this is how this goes. With that, Sassy, you ready for the next question?
Yeah, I sure am. I got my cat here now because he decided to pay a visit. All right, this is from Hans. What draws you to the tournament? It's a pretty open-ended question.
Yeah. I just love fighting. It's a huge part of my life. I like I love the feel of the engagement. So sort of the energy that you have between the two fighters that you can feel out and hopefully do, just the perfect thing at the perfect time. And I tend to get huge amounts of tournament anxiety. So what draws me to the tournament normally is the natural culmination of testing your training and seeing where you're at. But I do love the huge amounts of pageantry. So for me, being able to come out and fight and do the things I love and put on my surcoat and show off my banners is a huge part of it for me. So that's sort of what draws me in is, why not fight a tournament, really?
Truth.
Yeah. Helga?
Sorry, had to sip my drink there. We just got a little raspberry like sizer, which is just the bomb. So what draws me to the tournament is I love competition. I love it's basically like going into testing. So all the things that you put together in practice and you try out, this is where you cut the bullshit and you put your cards on the table and you go. And so I love it for the fact that it's the perfect gauge for what you need to go to next. I also absolutely love how in the SCA we compete as heavy fighters and as rapier fighters. To the honor is something that is not in a lot of systems. And at least in the West, I will drink in a moment for that. We attempt to maintain that to the highest integrity, including like in the last couple of years, I've pulled friends aside and been like, I think you're thick as a fucking brick and we have a problem. And then watching them change and grow because the honor of the tournament meant more to them than winning. And so that's one of the things that drags me to like specifically SCA tournaments is when done properly, honor is above ego, but skill is always on the line. And that's just, it's a beautiful mix of how it goes along. Also, it's really fun to make Hans blush as my consort. Like, it's just, there's a little like schoolgirl giggle about that. The first time he was just a consort and not a fighter and a consort was really interesting for him. And we got to have some amazing conversations because he'd never just stood on the sidelines while somebody fought. And he said it was a very powerful experience and that he understood what a consort meant more. And so that's also part of the draw to the tournament for me is highlighting my consort and carrying their name with, I hope, the highest integrity and honor onto the field.
So, to be honest, nothing draws me to the tournament field except one thing. Well, I guess two things. One, my fighter, who I'm there for. Team player, team pig, all the way. The second thing is I just like watching people have fun. And so for me, it's about, are you having fun? Is this a thing that you enjoy doing? Then rock on. Like, that's great. That is the best thing in the world to watch, is a bunch of fighters having fun. And I think that our sport is really unique in that way. Our sport is one of these things where you can technically lose, yet you can still have a fulfilling experience. I mean, at least as far as I've seen. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but I feel like they're few and far in between. And people are incredibly supportive, and it's a lot of fun to watch when people are out there having fun together. So that's my answer.
Nice.
I have no desire to fight whatsoever.
Are you sure you're sassy enough to fight?
Oh, my weapons are words. Also,
I have like a random moth in here, just so you know. So if you see me like flailing my hands around, I'm not having a schizophrenic episode. That's just, there's a moth and it's trying to get friendly.
That's usually me.
Yeah.
And also I worry because I'm in my basement where I store all of my wool fabric and all of my wool costumes, and I start seeing moths and I'm just like, I'm gonna fucking kill those things.
Oh yeah.
But
that's no bueno.
Yeah, also now I'm covered in cat hair. That's fun. By the way, he only wants to get cuddly when I'm wearing dark clothes. So, yeah, it's my old man. All right, next question.
The next question. comes from Thorvaller. How many drinks before court is too long?
Duration or amount?
Yeah, right?
You know what? It depends. Are you holding court or are you attending court? Because there's no limit if you're attending.
True. Although,
True.
no, actually.
I mean,
there
if you have a job.
There have definitely times where I'm a little like, whoa, I shouldn't have had that last cocktail. Here I am, holding the crown of the West. Oh, geez.
We have this joke that royal peers are the worst in court because we're the ones sitting at the back drinking, talking during court, and basically because everyone's courts are boring but your own, so you hold your own court at the back of court. But I think if for me holding court, it's probably safe rule of thumb is same as fighting. If you're not fit to drive, you're not fit to hold court, because you have to be on your game for it. But if I'm attending court, I'm gonna drink as much as I want. Sometimes you need it to get through.
Is this me? Or no, this is me. Okay, I lost track for a second of where we were. How many drinks before a court is too? I will tell you, having only been a lady in waiting, that it's probably going to be the same if I'm ever sitting on a throne. It's too long when I've had enough drinks for me to really desperately need to use the bathroom, and it's going to go for another hour at least. That's when it's too long. So yeah, once I have to pee, it's too long. And the worst part about that is that with me, and sure, it's TMI, it could be anywhere between like 6 hours or 6 minutes, Depends on how hydrated I am. Helga?
How many drinks before court is too long? One on the throne. We always limited ourselves to 1 drink because I'm a lightweight and I would like to give good court. That's actually a big thing for me, is that as royalty, I always tried to limit what I was drinking in public because you are kind of the main player in theater there. And being too inebriated is really kind of a detriment to your populace, especially for court. So, I mean, I could make a drink last an hour. So, an hour? 1 drink, an hour? Of course, too long. On the other side of it is like watching court. I give no fucks. Like, I'll sit back and I'm going to join Eva in this. Previous peers and royal peers tend to be the worst in court, and we should be banished to the back where nobody can hear us, because we're gonna get sassy.
I mean, it's really peers in general. I don't think we can really just say it's only royal peers. I'm gonna go with all peers. Well, not all peers, but if there's like assholes sitting in the back making snarky comments like it's a reenactment of MST3K, and they're going to be peers. The amount of times I have been shushed from people who have given me withering and dirty looks. You know who you are, because I know who I am. I lost count. But yeah, most of us are peers back there. And yes, we're awful and we shouldn't do that. But it's fun.
Yeah. So that just comes down to like in the audience, how long is court? How many drinks before court is too long is when I can't shut up anymore. Like when I turn into MS3,
MST3K.
Yeah, I can't say that. I've never been able to say that. I don't know why that acronym just jacks me up.
Oh, there you go.
But like anytime that happens, then I need to like bounce for a minute. And I totally bet you that your cameras are screwed up now, aren't they, Baby Ninja?
What happened? We had a on and off.
It isn't between 2 peers without a camera shift.
You know what? That's what keeps us who we are. It keeps us real. So.
Oh no! What happened? I'm sorry. Did I mess it up?
Oh,
if a camera turns off and then turns back on again in Zoom, it re-scrambles the tiles.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
It's okay. We've got Carius doing a funky dance. Come on,
There's
Curious.
gardening happening, so I'm sorry if you can hear.
No,
Oh, you're totally fine.
So
You're fine.
Unmute, and apparently I've ruined everything.
We must entertain.
Eva, you're fine.
Bang! We're good to go. Okay, so we're ready for the next question?
Yeah. Okay,
Oh.
well, I can stall for time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's your favorite drink at court?
Oh, favorite drink at court is whatever somebody's handing to me, which they should. Look, there's two of me. Twins. Favorite drink is, well, the thing that I've discovered is that I know what I can drink if it's like a known thing to me. So currently gin and tonics are very known to me. I can pace myself pretty well on that and be fairly functional. So.
Thank you.
Well, now we all have to
Okay.
answer the question though before we can move along. So, Eva, what is your favorite? Also, my cornet will not stay on straight, so I'm just giving up.
It kind of it depends on the event, to be quite honest. If it's pre-fighting, it's water. If it's post-fighting, it whatever is available pretty much. And especially like if it's a camping event, something that's already self-contained in a bottle is a good idea, especially if it's dark, because I've tried to mix gin and tonic in the dark and it doesn't work so well. But yeah, probably like, pack some ciders for a long court. That seems reasonable.
Agreed.
So you've lost the time-honored Western gin and tonic has not made it into the annals of Lochac, cause I got you. It is a Western tradition. Helga, would you like to answer the question?
I'm all about the ciders for court.
Yeah.
Like realistically, like cider for court is like the way to go for me. Because it's not heavy, it's slightly enjoyable. They're really good after fighting. So
It's a bit of an anthropology question, actually. Do you have the rule about Knights Council where baby knight brings the beer?
Yep.
All peerage councils in the West have that.
Uther threatened to unknight me to reknight me because instead of beer, I bought a 21-year-old bottle of scotch. Where I was just like, this goes better in coffee than beer does. And he was like, this is a 21-year-old bottle of scotch. I'm like, this is what I have for this. Okay.
So
like
in
chose to hold a 9 a.m. Shiv meeting. Okay.
Western Laurel councils, it's the baby Laurel brings ingredients for mimosas. So orange juice and champagne or Prosecco or,
It is the same for Pell Council.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of specified, but also, I mean, literally, if you just show up bearing booze, people aren't going to be like, oh, get out of here. But yeah. I was also going to point out, just like random factoid for Tulia, when I joined the SCA, Lochac was still a principality. So we had, when we had a grand court with all the principalities present, it was a big, huge to-do, because we had not just, we had Lochac, Oritha, Sinagua, and the Mists. And anytime the Lochac royalty came over, it was just a, reason for celebration. So, I've been around.
Sorry.
No worries.
I was like, has a bunny escaped somewhere? Like, what's going on?
Free range bunny? Oh.
So, okay, on to the next question.
Oh, I just got a text message on that note that I know my boyfriend is watching the show now. He says, I went to Lochac's first crown. So, it wasn't that long ago. It was only 20 years ago. So recent.
Wow.
I know, right?
He's showing his age?
Well, I'm showing my age, dude. It was 4 or 5 years before Lochac broke off, and I joined. So yeah. Anyways,
the next one is you, Sassy.
Okay, this one is from Call. Craziest thing you've done at a Halloween party?
Oh. That's actually a little bit tough for me, because another small cultural shift in Australia, they don't really do Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting to kind of take off, but there's not a lot here, so I kind of do my own thing. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think I've done anything particularly crazy at a Halloween party. So I'm going to skip that one.
I feel like you've been keeping the Halloween dream alive in Australia, though. Like, you know, you're like, I will light this flame and carry it to the ends of the Australian earth.
Actually, that's probably the craziest thing is that in non-COVID times, I will decorate the outside of my house. I will do a full big display. I'll decorate the inside. I will spend the whole day baking. I'll have my friends around. I get trick-or-treaters to come. Like, it's probably the craziest thing is that I'm the only person in my street who does it. So I stick out like a sore thumb.
You want to know the awful part? We're the only people in our street that doesn't do Halloween. And it's not that we don't love it, because we love Halloween. It's just we're total slackers and we can never get it together. Like soon enough after, and Christmas, the same thing. So I've decided we're just going to celebrate Christmas-ween. We're going to just kind of sort of combine the two, and it'll be 2 months. It's not wrong, Baby Ninja.
That is not wrong. That's not wrong at all, Baby Ninja. You shut up with your blasphemy.
You know who first started Christmas-ween? I mean, you could arguably go back to Nightmare Before Christmas as the prime example of how to do a proper Christmas-ween.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I have Halloween decorations for my tree, and I do a mashup as well.
Yeah. Helga.
You're totally one of us.
Mm-hmm.
The craziest thing I've done at a Halloween party. Actually, amusingly enough, I haven't been to a lot of Halloween parties. But the couple I have been as an adult, there was definitely some busty moments. The craziest thing is we were passing rubber duckies around in our cleavage. You couldn't use your hands to exchange a rubber ducky. That got a little weird as it got drunk out. I'm just gonna say, like eventually they removed the ability to use your mouth to do it, because that's also like the easiest way to do it. So I had there was one individual with very tight butt cheeks that could pick up a rubber ducky and then redeposit it. Those are memories. We're just gonna say that.
I think my cop-out answer, and also leave it to your imagination, is one Halloween party I went to when I was probably 22, 23 years old in my friend's apartment in Oakland. I know it got shut down by the cops. I know I was dressed as an albino. Beyond that, I have absolutely no recollection. There are some photographs, however, that are not in my possession, which they will not show me. So I don't know. Who knows what it was?
That's an evening.
It was quite the evening. It was a lot of fun, a ton of fun, yes. And the cops did show up and shut us down. And I mean, you know, whatever. It was in the Lake Merritt area, so it was kind of a poshy place, but yeah.
I actually remember the more crazy thing that I've done for Halloween.
Go ahead.
So my friend had her bachelorette party on Halloween. And this is the one time I didn't turn into so most bachelorette parties I show up and I turn into the guard dog. So I'm the one that I don't drink. I make sure that all the girls get from point A to point B and back on the bus, and I head count and do all these things. This time, fuck that, I did not. So we did a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then we're drinking downtown. And I remember very drunkenly and angrily tucking one of these fucking chicks under one arm and then tucking another one under the other arm because they were both too drunk to get anywhere, and we had another bar to go to. And I just She-Ra manhandled these chicks, and then would hit the bouncer, and I would just deposit these chicks outside whatever bar we were at and walk in. No bouncer ever fucked with me. It was just super funny. I'm only 5'5". I'm not that big, but apparently if you tuck a 160-pound chick under one arm and a $110 chick under another arm, and you just walk around like they're drunken rag dolls and just huck them at the bouncer's feet, I have brought you a sacrifice. I don't care as long as they're here when I come back. They'll leave you alone, and you can go into that bar with the rest of the chicks.
I've seen you walk up, roll up to a bar and just be all and everybody's all, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's fine, whatever. And so it was really funny because as the night got on and like went on, I was the only one that was really like upright at that point in time. So by the time we got to the like putting people on the bus, I was hucking them on like cordwood.
So Mistress Morgan actually is asking a pertinent question. Downtown where? You said you were downtown. Downtown where?
Oh, me or?
Yeah, you. Ding dong.
Oh, we were in San Francisco.
That's always the best. I have a bachelorette party story of downtown San Francisco where I was the sober one. And it was not fun. They were having a blast. It was not fun. Yeah. We roll into the Castro drunk, you know, like 20 girls drunk as fuck and one Tulia sober as fuck. And it was, I mean, at least I only got called a fucking bitch once by some random person on the street. And I managed to get my friend home without puking in the taxi. And she still talks to me to this day. So, all right. Next question.
Next question. So this is actually the last question of the night, unless we take on any guest or live feed questions. So the bonus question from Radar. Every year there are the sexy costumes for sale. If you had to wear one, what would it be and why?
I know the answer to this.
Yeah, that also is rough. I'm gonna think about it again.
My answer is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, historically accurately recreated, because that's sexy as fuck.
I like how Sassy just throws down there. Like that's.
Come at me, bro.
So we got to preload these, so like we know that these questions are coming up, and I still don't have an answer for this one. Where I'm just like, fuck, what would I wear? Like I have no.
I'm thinking, what am I going to be happy in? And not a lot. You know what? I probably can't answer this one. If we're talking sexy outfits, I'm thinking vintage. If you've seen any of the sexy Victorian era ladies' bat outfits that are fully covering.
I love those. The fancy dress bats. I know, they're cute as fuck. They're so cute.
Little hats with the ears on them. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
I would be happy in that.
Yeah, that would be adorable and also sexy as fuck.
I like how both of you guys go with like some like seriously non just horrific answers, and I'm over here just like, fuck.
All right, so
I would probably have to go with the cheerleader outfit just because nobody would fucking believe that I'd show up to a party like that.
That would be cool.
Like, do the little pleated skirt and the fucking like top and everything else like that. I need to lose like another 20 pounds before that could happen. But 100% would show up like that and just be like, I brought pom-poms and attitude, motherfuckers. And
I also would imagine you would like put like a 12-inch strap on underneath it. So it was just hanging out just below the skirt.
That's for the after party.
So I think also a good question to add into this is, can you name something random that would make the most random sexy Halloween outfit?
Sandwich.
A sexy sandwich.
Yeah. That was the only thing when the question
I can imagine it's like
anything. So
a piece of bread that only covers from like here.
You know? Yeah. I think it would be like a sandwich board sandwich as well. Or yeah.
Oh, a sandwich. Yeah.
Or do you do like the cheeseburger like?
Oh,
with the legs sticking out.
I imagine it's like the sandwich up top, and then it's just all legs. Like it's legs and like the fishnet stockings and a set of heels, so you can get like the legs going on to flex at that. That's how I'm seeing that one. That was a little weird.
Sexy taco. That's right? Katrina. She just put sexy taco. I'm like, yeah, taco.
That's just a double entendre.
It is, isn't it? Let's see. I mean, if we're doing food items, now, let's see. Sexy. I don't know. A sexy Hello Kitty costume.
Oh no, those are out there. Those are very out there. That's
This is
if
my
it's on the if it exists, it's on the internet.
Rule 34. Yes.
Yep.
If you can think of it, porn exists of it on the internet.
Yeah.
My generation invented Rule 34. I'm very sorry, people. I really am.
I'm trying to like figure out like an awkward, sexy, like a goldfish.
Sexy goldfish. I could see
That would be
that. I mean, like, and that could kind of cross into like furry territory. You could do like, I think that would actually be pretty cool. Oh, by the way, one time, years and years and years and years ago, we're talking probably late 90s, early 2000s. I ran across because not a lot of people were putting content on the internet, obviously. And it was a website I stumbled across on furry costumes. Actually, I don't even know if they were called furries. I think it was still like just under cosplay. And it was a costume of a peacock. It was a girl in a peacock costume that was the most amazing, stunning piece of body art I've ever seen. Most of it was applied directly to her body with like strategically placed, kind of like bra and panties, but completely full body paint, applied peacock feathers everywhere. This thing was a thing of fucking stunning beauty. And I've never ever seen its equal ever since. And I couldn't even possibly dig it up from the graveyard of the internet 20 years later. So, but yeah, that's stuck in my mind. Sexy peacock. Yeah.
That one I can see is like a pretty easy conversion though. But
but
I
to do it well,
am married to the apex murder peacock, so.
But to do it well. And that's always the thing where it's like, are you going to just go for cheesy or are you going to go for classy? And yeah, that's a hard one. God, I just glanced over to the chat on YouTube and I'm seeing Thorfinn's replies. Sexy Mary Jo Kopechne. Sexy, I mean, that's a callback. Sexy Brian of Bellatrix. And then he texted me one, sexy Elvis Hitler. Ladies and gentlemen, my boyfriend.
I think that's delving very much into your personal life, maybe further than I want to go.
Super vanilla, but I mean, Thorfinn, if you have needs you're not telling me about, please feel free to approach me. I'm a team player. I draw the line at Mary Jo Kopechne.
Thorfinn happy. Elvis Hitler is weird though. They're not even. I guess they're the same.
Yeah, I'm like, what fucked up brain cell did that come from? Anyway,
I mean, you can ask him later.
Yeah.
Well, we're an hour and a half into the show. We can either scroll up and grab a question from the audience, or we could wrap it up here. I've had a rocking good time with you, Eva. You have been an amazing guest.
You are one of my favorite people, and it was an honor to have you on the show. And I'm glad that you said yes. And I'm glad that it got to be the Halloween show.
I know, it worked out perfectly. Thank you very much for having me. I'm free, so if you would like to go for another question, I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I just got sent a picture.
Of what?
Oh. I thought it was sexy Mary Jo Kopechne. No, it was Kinhild sent me a photo of a peacock mask. I don't think it will show here.
Oh, that's really cool.
That is actually not that bad, but it looks store-bought. Like, where did that come from?
Oh, I'm scrolling through our questions real quick and seeing if I can snag one. Oh, actually, I'll ask the one from Technomancer.
Oh.
What is your favorite horror movie? Is there actually one that has scared or startled you?
Yeah, I get scared of horror movies all the time. I kind of am a more of a genre person. Like I do get legitimately scared by certain kinds of cinematography that includes like jerky movements or a lot of ghost stuff. So like things like The Grudge are very scary for me because you can't fight that. It's all awful. So I tend to try and avoid things with ghosts if I can, although I still get tempted into them. But I really love, there's a few 80s horror films that are my favorite. So one is People Under the Stairs. It's a Wes Craven.
Yes.
I think it's about to get remade by Jordan Peele, which is very exciting.
I will accept that remake. I hate
Yeah.
remakes in general, but I will accept anything by Jordan Peele. Key and Peele in general, like, just cannot do any wrong. Yeah.
I also, weird story again, is that my favorite childhood movie from like when I was 3 was Nightbreed. It's a Clive Barker adaptation. Really cool. That one's good. Hard to find these days though. And then I think if my favorite kind of like slasher gore fest is You're Next. So there you go.
I think my horror preference, or I should say the thing, I'm not attracted to like the horror genre at all in general, because the human mind and condition and just humanity in general is literally the monster lurking under everyone's bed, lurking inside yourself. Oh, the call is coming in from inside the house. Like, that's the monster, is human nature. So when I was working at a radio station in the late 90s, during my brief flirtation with radio, we got tickets to go see Blair Witch Project before anybody knew really what the thing was about. We, like, legitimately, because the internet was not like the way it is now, social media was not a thing, the hype that we knew was coming through was that it was a documentary. Like, I'm not even kidding, believed the fuck out of the fact that this was a documentary footage that was found. And only, of course, after the fact, everybody kind of put 2 and 2 together and was like, okay, this is really just great marketing. It was absolutely a kind of cinema verite film that was created to look and to feel like it was real, but it was absolutely a manufactured thing. But 100% believed it was real at the time. And I shouldn't say 100%. But there was points though throughout it where I'm sitting in the theater and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I love documentaries. This is cool. I'm gonna sit here and watch the documentary, and then being like, holy, what the fuck was that? That was one of those moments of just the less you see, the creepier it is. The less they show you, you don't need to see like, bloodshed and like people getting eviscerated and heads getting blown off or anything like that. You don't see the stuff, and that's fucking scary, right? So for me, like, the human mind, the human being is the real monster. So we've been watching, and we just finished watching Lovecraft Country. Yeah, suddenly can't say the words. And one of the things I loved about that is that it does mix classic horror tropes with the juxtaposition of human beings just being monsters to one another. And so I would go with that. Like, the human being is the biggest monster there is. It's nothing hiding under the bed or in the closet. It's what's up here that is awful and scary. Helga?
So The Grudge jacked me up. Like, that's a horror movie that I have watched a couple times now, and it's really that it takes away it systematically removes your safe spaces of like kids that hide underneath the covers, and the fucking monster, like, you watch it come underneath the cover to snatch her through the mattress. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm the fuck out. Also, hands in garbage disposals, hard no. And so that is definitely one that jacked me up. My favorite horror movie, though, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the entire Evil Dead franchise.
Oh, but that's classic. I saw the Evil Dead live musical when it was in San Jose a couple of years ago.
It's so good.
That was rad.
Also, I will go with Cabin in the Woods.
I've never seen that, and people say,
oh my god, Cabin in the Woods is fucking delightful because it makes fun of every trope out there.
Yeah.
Like, it is just great. I highly recommend watch Cabin in the Woods. It is emotionally satisfying.
All right.
So I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up the show for the evening.
Okay.
So, Eva, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. You have been an absolute delight to have on the show. Do you have any shout outs that you would like to do? Any other content that you would like to highlight? We'll post links later between two peers. So is there anybody that you would like to shout out?
Yes. So I'm going to be doing a few streams in the next few weeks. All the links to those. I think I'm going to be on Coach's Corner possibly next weekend. And then myself, Duke Mark de Arundel, and Duke Thorpe and the Cruel will be doing a talk on chivalry in mid to late November. So all the details for those will be on the SEA Virtual Fighter Practice page. And other than that, I have an artist page, claudia.dslr. If you'd like to see some of the work that I do there, feel free to drop in and have a look. I've just finished doing a series of historical pinup girls. So I figured that's applicable to our interests. So if people want to see some art, thanks. But yeah, drop in and drop me a line.
Awesome.
Tulia?
I haven't been watching anything. Oh, I watched the first episode of Mandalorian today. Y'all should watch it, by the way. Like, it's legit. Yeah, I'm terrible. You should just really watch Ask the Knights, though, because Logan will cry if you don't. True story.
Oh, and Ask the Knights is fun. Stupid moth is back. So my shout out is to PPF. The raid was raid delayed at Collegium. So Perfectly Period Feast, or it was the Perfectly Plausible Feast, has been delayed, and I spoke about this last episode. It's been delayed, and so now they're doing a virtual Collegium of all the skills that it would have been necessary to pull off that feast, and it is going to be fantastic. The West Kingdom is hosting it. I will drop links. Actually, the link is in the comments or in the description already. It is going to be a great day of early period classes, techniques. So we've got weaving, we've got like but they're doing such a good job lining up teachers and promoting this. I'm really, really stoked. So yeah, go check that out. It's another virtual Collegium where we can learn things from people from all over the known world. So do it. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm going to remind everybody that, hey, if you have a merchant that would like to host a commercial, we have a form. Message us. We'll get a commercial made for you, and then we'll air it on the show. And then I just want to continue to say thank you so much to everybody who is supporting the shows, to our guests that are coming up, and to our past guests. You guys are doing amazing things and allowing this show to happen. Next week, we'll have Baroness Anne, who is the Society Social Media Officer, on. So send in those questions.
She's
great. I know she's already nervous. She's got a week, and we're just going to make her really nervous the entire time.
She's amazing and delightful, and I cannot wait.
I'm really looking forward to that show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say like, share, and follow. It's how we keep going. And so far, we're at 4 bunny treats. We would love to see more bunny treats happen.
Come on, people.
We'll get you pictures of the cute bunny getting bunny treats.
76 people are watching. We've only got 44 likes. Oh, we got 1 downvote.
Yeah, we did get 1 downvote. I don't know where though.
You know, they do. I think somebody's just doing that just to fuck with us.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Whatever.
So with that, I just want to say thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
Thank you for having me.